Hi everyone, I'm Perry the Fridge, and welcome to part 2 of my introduction to Final Fantasy XIV achievement hunting. In part 1, we briefly discussed what achievements are in Final Fantasy XIV, and what the general goals are for the achievement hunting community. Whether you're aiming to complete every achievement in the game, or just trying to complete a specific one, the goal of this series is to educate players on the different challenges they will face and what resources are out there to help them. So, let's get started. Now that we've established what achievements are, it's time to discuss a little about the different types of achievements. As I mentioned in part 1, the achievement log breaks down each milestone by the type of content they fit into. For example, you'll find all achievements related to PvP under the PvP section, and all achievements you get from quests under the quest section. This is helpful for cataloging the different achievements you want to work on. However, it doesn't do much to help players prioritize outside of whichever content strikes their fancy. So, from an achievement hunting perspective, I find it's far more helpful to break down achievements into 3 much broader categories: standard achievements, time-gated achievements, and time-limited achievements. Achievement hunters need to be considerate of all 3 types in order to keep an efficient score climb. This video will focus mainly on the first 2 types. Time-limited achievements will be discussed in the third and final part of this series, so keep an eye out for that. Standard achievements are pretty self-explanatory. Players simply need to meet the milestone requirements, and may do so at whatever pace they choose and are capable of. Time-gated achievements, on the other hand, are one of the biggest hurdles that achievement hunters should be aware of to help them prioritize, and these will be the focus of this video. So, let's start from the beginning. What are time-gated achievements, and what makes them such a hurdle? A time-gated achievement is one that restricts how fast a player can possibly accomplish it. Take custom deliveries, for example. A player can only turn in a maximum of 6 times per week to any of the NPCs, yet there are achievements for turning in 150 to each. This means that the absolute fastest that a new player could earn all of these achievements is mathematically deterministic, and is completely independent of how much effort the player puts in outside of the 10 minutes or so it takes to do the 6 deliveries. So, what does this mean for us hunters? Unlike with standard achievements, this means that time-gated achievements don't allow achievement hunters to catch up if they fall behind. For example, let's look at this blacksmithing standard achievement, which requires you to make 1,000 items of a specific level range. If I plan on making 100 items per day from the start, I calculate it should take me 10 days to complete the achievement. If I were to miss one of those days, I could simply increase the number of crafts I make on the next day, say to 200, and this would let me complete the achievement on time as planned. With a time-gated achievement though, this isn't possible. To use the same example as earlier, L2, one of the custom delivery NPCs, will let me turn in 6 custom deliveries to her every week. If I miss a week, next week will be the same. She will still only allow me to turn in 6, meaning I don't have the option of making up the missed week, and this pushes back my completion schedule. So, as an achievement hunter, if I have to choose between working on my custom deliveries first or my blacksmithing achievement first, I want to prioritize completing my custom deliveries first, since they take a relatively short time to complete for the week and I'll be unable to make them up later. In most cases, time-gated content is like this. It's a relatively small amount of effort needed, but at regular intervals. Once a player is aware of the task and its restrictions, it becomes pretty trivial to set the small amount of time aside to do it on the regular. The challenge, then, is to know and keep track of all of the different tasks that have these restrictions in order to keep up. Luckily, we've already compiled a list. I've created a Google Doc that outlines every piece of time-gated content and semi-time-gated content in the game, and you can find the link to that document in the video description. These slides will give the basic information on each built-in time gate, as well as some other points I felt were important to include for new hunters. Feel free to share and reference this to help you determine which achievements you want to prioritize. To avoid a 20-minute long lecture, however, I won't cover all of the material in this video. Instead, I will cover the most common and easily accessible ones that newer achievement hunters can be aware of right away. However, I encourage anyone interested to take a look at the full document, so you can be aware of what content in the game will restrict your achievement hunting speed. So, let's look at some of the most common time gates and what their restrictions are. I already mentioned these earlier, but first up is custom deliveries. Custom deliveries are a system in which you turn in collectible items to certain NPCs in exchange for scripts. Each NPC has a series of achievements that you unlock as you give them more items, going up to 150. The catch, of course, is that you are limited to turning in only 6 items to any given NPC per week. This means that, at minimum, it will take a player 25 weeks to complete one NPC's achievements. On top of that, this one is a double whammy. Players are limited to 12 turn-ins per week total, so you can only reach that 6 item cap on 2 NPCs on any given week. There are a lot more than 2 NPCs in the game, and Square Enix is constantly adding more, so this is a good one to get on top of weekly right away. Along the same vein are the tribal quests. Tribes across the game offer specialized quests that allow players to increase their reputation with them, giving them access to unique minions, mounts, and most importantly, a set of achievements that are unlocked as you rank up with each one. Players are limited to completing a grand total of 12 tribal quests per day, and each tribe only offers a limited number of quests per day. Usually 3, but up to 9 or 12 for some earlier tribes. There are a series of tribes added in each expansion, which means the overall time it takes to complete them all is always increasing, so it's a good idea to make these a daily task. They are available as early as level 41, so even players who haven't gotten far into the MSQ can pick up on these. And finally, I'd be remiss not to mention the biggest, gnarliest time gate of them all, Leave Quests. Leave Quests are a special type of quest that can be undertaken in any of the major cities, as well as several smaller settlements in the Realm Reborn areas. These quests require leave allowances to take on, a type of currency that players automatically generate at a rate of 3 per 12 hours, so 6 per day. There are a number of large quantity achievements for leave quests, and they will take a lot of real-world time to generate enough allowances to complete. Players can only hold a maximum of 100 allowances, and any extra generated are lost, so it's recommended to make sure you don't overcap in order to keep up with these. These examples are some of the most easily accessible time gates. However, there are numerous other pieces of time-gated content in the game, so keep an eye out. Once again, I encourage new achievement hunters, or anyone else who is curious about these, to check out the slides in the video description. The plan is to keep this document updated as Final Fantasy XIV receives patches, to keep the information up to date. So don't be alarmed if you see any minor discrepancies from the slides shown in this video versus the document. Keeping on top of time-gated content is key to maintaining a healthy climbing pace for your achievement score, so take the opportunities to make progress where you can. That said, again, it is important to remember to make sure not to burn yourself out. Skipping days or weeks of these achievements is always okay when you need it, and burnout will only stagnate progress. The fear of missing out can be very real, but I promise you that most achievement hunters, including myself, are not trying to tackle everything shown in these slides at once. Make sure you pace yourself. And that just about covers it. If you have any further questions on these types of achievements, feel free to leave a comment below, and you can check out the third and final video in this series at the link on screen or in the video description, which will cover time-limited and pseudo-time-limited content, as well as some links to the achievement hunting community sites. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.